What would you do if you discovered that the car with which you have run all year was never correctly configured? This is exactly what just happened to Ferrari. In a private test in Mugello, Lewis Hamilton found something that left all Maranello paralyzed. And what they found could completely change the 2025 championship. The data registered during the test day in Mugello represents one of the most forceful technical inflection points that Ferrari has experienced in recent years. It was not simply promising times or a timely improvement in certain curves. Telemetry revealed a global behavior of the car that, until then, seemed impossible to reach with the SF25 platform. And all thanks to a change in the configuration of the rear suspension that radically altered the interaction of the chassis with the asphalt. For the first time, the car was not only fast but also consistent and balanced. That is, it showed symptoms of a truly competitive car at the championship level. One of the most spectacular indicators was the minimal speed sustained in curve, particularly in high lateral load sectors such as Arrabbiata 2, one of the most demanding sections of the Mugello circuit. Lewis Hamilton managed to maintain a minimum speed that exceeded 6 km/h, its best prior record in that curve, a difference that in terms of Formula One is abysmal. But even more surprising was that this gain did not reach the coast of the car. There was no increase in wear on the flat bottom, no overheating in tires or structural fatigue in the components was detected. In summary, the SF25 was not only more fast, it was with less mechanical punishment. This behavior cannot be underestimated. The key to all this was in a parameter that Ferrari had been trying for months, the rear axle height variation. In all previous races, this fluctuation exceeded 4 mm due to aerodynamic rebounds and asphalt irregularities. The car could not stabilize, which compromised the efficiency of the diffuser, the braking stability, and the behavior of the car in a curve. With the new suspension, that variation was reduced to only 1.4 mm. It is a figure that places SF25 in the absolute elite of dynamic efficiency. But the benefits were not limited to the aerodynamic. They were also reflected in the braking system, another of the weak points of the car during the first third of the season. The thermal delta is to say, the temperature oscillation in the rear brakes remained inside a margin of plus or minus 12 degrees Celsius, something practically unpublished in a session with demonstration tires. This type of thermal stability allows a much more predictable and precise braking, fundamental to avoid overcrowding at curve entrance and reduce irregular wear of rear rubber. The most striking thing about this phenomenon is that it happened in non-ideal conditions. Mugello's session was not designed to look for competitive return times, much less to force the car with extreme adjustments. Even so, the data revealed that the integration between the new suspension system and the general behavior of the car turned out to be perfect. This not only validates the technical direction that Ferrari was exploring, but makes it, in fact, the new mandatory path for the rest of the championship. If something made this telemetry clear is that Lewis Hamilton, despite his initial ups and downs in Ferrari, has been the technical trigger for this revolution. Their ability to identify track sensations, translate them into useful feedback, and guide the equipment towards concrete solutions was key. It is no coincidence that this finding occurred precisely under its driving, and with a configuration designed around its piloting style. In Mugello, Ferrari not only discovered how to improve his car, he discovered that he has, in Hamilton, the ideal pilot to conduct this transformation. What Ferrari discovered in Mugello is not simply a technical improvement. It is a revelation that can completely alter the dynamics of the 2025 championship. Formula One does not only reward the car faster, but to the one who manages to be repeatedly, predictable, and efficiently throughout the calendar. What Mugello showed is that Ferrari, after months of uncertainty, could have unlocked precisely that level of consistency that has separated it from the titles in the modern era. This evolution does not have a linear impact. It is a domino effect that affects all levels of the team, from the technical direction to the strategies on track and, above all, the psychology of the human group that composes the Scuderia. During the first part of the year, Ferrari has been the victim of his own concept. They bet on a pull-rod-type rear suspension architecture, a configuration that in theory allowed to improve aerodynamic flow and reduce the center of gravity, two huge advantages over paper. But that structural choice was accompanied by an equally critical decision: redesign the gearbox to make it more compact and light, which greatly restricted the space available to mount an effective rear cushion system. In practice, this combination generated an unstable rear area, unable to maintain a constant height of the chassis. This instability forced the team to raise the general height of the car to protect the integrity of the flat background, sacrificing aerodynamic load and affecting the balance. The finding of Mugello changes all that. It means that Ferrari can lower the height of the car without fearing unacceptable structural wear. You can use your diffuser and your flat background in optimal conditions, which unlocks a performance gain in both high-speed curves and traction at the exit of slow curves. And what is more important, this can be reliable in other circuits if the suspension validated in Mugello is implemented correctly. It is no longer a specific solution for a specific track, but a solid technical base on which to build a second half of the competitive season. From a strategic point of view, this also changes the team's approach immediately. Ferrari is no longer condemned to operate with compromised setups, to negotiate between wear and rhythm, or to resign to mediocre classifications in sensitive circuits. If Mugello is transferable, the team can redesign its weekends from the offensive. This implies greater risks but also immense opportunities. Classification sessions can become lethal weapons and career strategies, precise tools instead of containment maneuvers. What was lived in Mugello was not just a test. It was the discovery that Ferrari, after a long journey in the technical desert, could finally have a car that not only competes but can master. And that, in the context of a season as open as 2025, is not a simple anecdote. It is a declaration of war. The implications of what happened in Mugello are much deeper than a simple technical improvement. They point to a total redefinition of the role that Ferrari can play in the second half of the 2025 championship. In a calendar that still has more than 15 dates ahead, the margin of maneuver is wide enough for a team to transform its frustration narrative into a story of redemption. And Ferrari, which until weeks ago seemed to another unfulfilled promises campaign, could have found the turning point that separates the serious contestants of the mere participants. For Lewis Hamilton, this is a window that can't let out. The seven-time world champion arrived in Maranello wrapped in a mixture of skepticism and expectation. Its beginning was turbulent, with a car that did not respond to its piloting, for weekends full of forced adjustments, and with a constant struggle to understand the limitations of a technically unstable car. But Mugello marks a before and after. For the first time, Hamilton not only felt comfortable in the SF25, but also managed to express his style to the highest level, without the need for commitments. This completely changes its internal panorama. It is not just a matter of performance, it is a subject of trust. When a pilot like Hamilton perceives that he has a reliable weapon in the hands, his way of running is transformed. More aggressive, safer, more capable of pressing from the first stint. This also has a collateral effect on Charles Leclerc. The Monegasco, pilot of the house and cornerstone of the Ferrari project in recent years, now faces a scenario where it is no longer the only reference within the team. Hamilton, with data and results, is beginning to mark the technical course. If the configuration developed around your needs becomes the new Ferrari standard, Leclerc will be forced to readjust your style, your communication with engineers and position within the structure. It is not a new challenge for him, but he had never lived with a figure like Hamilton on the other side of the box. This could enhance it, or move it. But beyond the technical, what Mugello has revealed is that Ferrari has a golden opportunity in his hands, rewriting his destiny in a season that seemed lost. And that opportunity comes not due to a blow of luck, but for an evolution that is based on data, rigorous technical work, and, above all, the adaptation capacity that distinguishes the champions. If the Italian team knows how to capitalize on this discovery and build on it with intelligence, commitment, and precision, then the 2025 championship is far from being determined. Because in Formula One, when a car finds its balance, everything else can change. Even the course of a story that many already believed written. What has happened in Mugello with the SF25 is not an isolated episode or a simple technical note that will be filed in Ferrari's internal reports. It is a turning point that, if managed with intelligence, can change not only the 2025 season, but also the immediate future of the Scuderia and Formula One in general. We are facing one of those moments when a team goes from pursuing solutions to lead a new approach. And that rate does not happen every year. Therefore, this finding should not be seen solely as an improvement in car performance. It is a conceptual transformation about what Ferrari can become in the modern era. In the coming weeks, all eyes will be put in Ferrari. Each free batch, each classification session, each career stint will be scrutinized with the magnifying glass of what happened in Mugello. It will be analyzed if they are really taking advantage of this discovery, if they manage to transfer it to high-pressure conditions, and if Hamilton can maintain that level of control and performance on clues of very different characteristics. What is at stake is not just the immediate glory. It is the prestige of a brand that has been trying too many years to return to the top without sustained success. Do you think this discovery in Mugello is the beginning of an epic comeback that will put Hamilton in the direct fight for his 8th title? Or do you think it is just an isolated spark, a technical mirage that will disappear as soon as the car confronts real career conditions? Give me your opinion, I read you in the comments.